Did you know about the new UCPMP 2024 guidelines that have been rolled out recently? If not, don't worry, we've got you covered. The Uniform Code for Pharmaceutical Marketing Practices, or UCPMP, is a set of guidelines implemented by the central government to control unethical practices in the pharmaceutical industry. These updated guidelines for 2024 cover a wide range of areas. They dictate how drugs should be endorsed and promoted, as well as outlining the ethical conduct expected of medical representatives. Furthermore, they provide guidance on maintaining relationships with healthcare professionals. This is just a brief introduction to the comprehensive and detailed UCPMP 2024. The updated code has been designed to promote transparency, ethical conduct, and fairness in the interactions between pharmaceutical companies and healthcare professionals. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into these provisions. As we dive into the nitty-gritty of these guidelines, let's start with the provisions related to gifts and travel facilities. The Uniform Code for Pharmaceutical Marketing Practices, or UCPMP, firmly prohibits pharmaceutical companies from offering gifts or travel facilities to healthcare professionals or their family members. This is a critical step in preventing the potential for undue influence in prescribing practices. Next, we have the guidelines for medical representatives. They must not employ any form of inducement or subterfuge to gain access to a healthcare professional. So, no more paying under the table for an interview or for access to a healthcare professional. This provision also holds companies accountable for the actions of their representatives, thereby ensuring that ethical conduct is maintained throughout the organization. Moving on, the UCPMP has placed a ban on the supply of free samples to those who are not qualified to prescribe such a product. This means only those with the appropriate credentials can receive samples. Additionally, each pharmaceutical company is required to maintain records of these samples, including product name, doctor name, the number of samples given, and the date of supply. Furthermore, the total value of these distributed samples must not exceed 2% of the company's domestic sales per year. The UCPMP also mandates that all pharmaceutical associations form an ethics committee for pharmaceutical marketing practices and establish a dedicated UCPMP portal on their websites. This is a significant move toward the implementation of this code. Now let's talk about how drugs should be promoted. The UCPMP provides detailed guidelines for promoting drugs both in written and audio-visual format. The information must be balanced, up-to-date, verifiable, and must not mislead either directly or by implication. Pharmaceutical companies should not make claims or comparisons about their drug's usefulness without proper substantiation, and the word safe must not be used without qualification. Also, the term new must not be used to describe any drug or therapeutic intervention that has been generally promoted in India for more than a year. But how do these guidelines ensure that the pharma companies adhere to them? Let's find out in the next scene. The responsibility of adhering to the UCPMP 2024 rests with the CEO of the pharmaceutical companies. But what happens if they don't comply? That's a question we all want to know the answer to, isn't it? Well, there are strict penalties in place for any violations of the code. If a company is found to be in breach, they could face severe consequences. This could range from hefty fines to stricter sanctions, including potential revocation of their license to operate. But who manages and oversees these penalties? Enter the Ethics Committee for Pharmaceutical Marketing Practices, or ECPMP for short. This committee is responsible for ensuring that all pharmaceutical companies comply with the UCPMP. They're the ones who review any complaints about potential violations, investigate them thoroughly, and then decide on the appropriate action. The ECPMP isn't just there to penalize, though. They also play a vital role in maintaining accountability within the industry. By overseeing adherence to the code, they ensure that companies are not only following the rules, but are doing so in a way that is ethical and in the best interest of the public. This system of checks and balances is what makes the UCPMP 2024 so effective. It's not just about setting rules, but also about ensuring that those rules are followed and that those who break them are held accountable. Now that we've understood the provisions and their enforcement, let's look at what this means for the pharma industry. The UCPMP 2024 is set to bring about significant changes in the pharma industry. It is expected to curb unethical practices, fostering a culture of ethical conduct and transparency. The stringent guidelines are set to redefine the relationship between pharmaceutical companies and healthcare professionals, promoting accountability. The impact extends to medical representatives, who are now held to a higher standard of conduct. So, the UCPMP 2024 is not just a set of guidelines, but a step towards a more ethical and transparent pharma industry.